Well, there's the standard questions to ask. Where are you in your fund? Have you spent all the money in the fund? Are you just doing follow-on investments? Are you still doing new investments? That's always an important question. There's nothing wrong with asking for references. What other investments have you made? And then just like a job, just like if I'm interviewing someone for a job, I would ask them for their references. The entrepreneurs can ask the venture capitalist, give me references of companies that you funded and people that worked in those companies to tell me how you were as an investor. Find out, have you done anything recently in this market? Find out if you've made investments that are conflicted, because most venture capital firms don't make redundant investments. So if you have one investment in a company that makes laptop computers, it's unlikely you're going to invest in another company that makes laptop computers. So I was an engineer for a really long time, and I loved being an engineer. I did a little teaching along the way, and I worked my way up into management and went public with one company and started a few companies. I guess at a certain point, I started building relationships with the venture capitalists in the area because they were investing in the companies that I had either started or was working in, and I got to know the investors. And Venrock was one of the investors in one of the companies that I was the CEO of, and I got to know them very, very well over a number of years. And when they had an opportunity, or when they had an opening for someone that had my experience, and that really was wireless communications and internet infrastructure and networking and signal processing. I'm kind of this more sciencey person here. When there was an opportunity to have someone in the firm that had that background and experience, I got a phone call. I wasn't looking, and they weren't really advertising, and it was one of those, I guess with hindsight, one of those fortunate things that just happened. And I talked it over with my wife, and we said, well, you don't usually get a phone call like that, so I guess I'll take the job. And that was about 6 years ago. So we have several investments in Israel. We have one investment in Brazil. We had an investment in China. It was sold last year. So we've done investments overseas. I would say what characterizes our overseas investments is, one, we're looking for industries that we know. This goes back to what I said earlier, which most VCs live with. If it's a market that we know, it's not just a product, but a geographic market. So we might understand how consumers in the United States buy computers, but we may not understand how consumers in China buy computers. So if we don't really understand that, it would be hard for us to invest in a company that was selling computers in China, for example. So I would say we're looking for markets that we know and investors that we can invest with that also know those things and that know us. So we often invest with other venture capital firms who know those markets maybe better than we do, but we know them very well. So we've invested with Israeli investors in Israel, with Brazilian investors in Brazil, with Chinese investors in China. And so we're generally looking for someone, if the company is headquartered outside the United States, we're looking for investors to partner with us that are local. And that way, we know that the company will be well served if they need all that advice that we talked about earlier.